For most brands, it's been traditional to consider their largest sedan as the company's flagship. But for Audi, this redesigned Q7, it's so nice, it really calls that logic into question. Now see, this is quite a transformation. The original Q7 was introduced all the way back in 2007, and it feels like it hung around for an eternity. Sales never really measured up to the Mercedes and BMW competition. Now this 2017 redesign looks pretty conservative on the outside, but it hides some clever engineering inside, including shedding several hundred pounds. That diet lets the Q7 thrive with a relatively small engine, a 3-liter supercharged V6 that makes 333 horsepower. It's mated to a very smooth 8-speed automatic. Normally we'd expect there to be a diesel Q7 TDI, but given parent company Volkswagen's emissions cheating scandal, plans for that car are on hold. A tow rating of 7,700 pounds is impressive for an SUV like this that isn't built off of a truck chassis. Of course, building the Q7 that way helps it drive more like a car. It feels smaller to drive than its 200-inch length, but it isn't quite as sporty as a BMW X5. Instead, the Audi emphasizes luxury. Equipped with its optional air suspension, the Audi's ride is silky smooth, challenging the Range Rover for its title of best riding SUV. Interior noise is also super quiet. Indeed, things get really decadent inside. Audis have been known for having plush yet business-like cabins, and this Q7 takes that to another level. Equipped here with the luxury package, everything you touch is soft, with leather on many interior surfaces and a synthetic suede headliner. The only stuff that isn't soft is the wood, chrome, or all the buttons and screens. The Q7 gets Audi's virtual cockpit instrument display, replacing its normal gauges with a big vivid screen that has a whole lot of processor power behind it. You can see the normal gauges or shrink them down, leaving more room to display Google Maps or your music library. All of this is controlled through the steering wheel buttons. Now if that's too much right ahead of you, there's also the center screen, with Audi's familiar MMI control knob interface, along with a big scratch pad for letters and numbers. No doubt, all of this is a lot, but you do get used to it, and the system's design has a lot of clever little shortcuts in it. A lot of stuff comes standard here, including Quattro all-wheel drive, leather seats, a panoramic moonroof, power tailgate, and HID headlights, with these LED lights as an option. Also standard is Audi Presense City, which provides forward collision warning and pedestrian detection up to 52 miles an hour, automatically braking to help avoid a crash. But if you want full-speed forward collision warning or lane departure warning, you're going to have to move up to the mid-trim Premium Plus. Prices start at $55,750. This loaded top trim Prestige with the $4,000 air suspension and all-wheel steering package, the $6,000 luxury interior package, and the $5,000 Bang & Olufsen stereo, plus a lot of other stuff, tops out at a whopping $85,425. Then again, have you priced out a European luxury flagship lately? For more on SUVs, check out consumerreports.org.
The Chevrolet Impala is the top-scoring sedan in Consumer Reports testing. This is somewhat unexpected. Sure, the Impala name has a lot of history behind it, but recent Impalas have been outdated and woefully uncompetitive, mostly banished to rental car fleets. That's all changed. From the first time we drove our test car, we were impressed. Not only does the car's styling attract a lot of attention, but this simply is a very nice car to drive. The ride is impressive, better than some luxury cars, and the cabin's quiet too. But you don't score high in Consumer Reports without producing the numbers. Sticky 19-inch tires help braking, with distances on par with some sports cars. And the handling's responsive. It's more agile than the typical big sedan. Power is strong from the Impala's 3.6-liter V6, and fuel economy is competitive. The good news continues inside. The cabin's well finished. Seats are comfortable, both front and rear, and there's a huge trunk. Plus, Chevy managed to provide all the modern electronics you expect, but with a simple touchscreen interface and good old-fashioned knobs and buttons.
That's probably the only thing old-fashioned about this born-again Impala. It now stands tall against very strong competition.
Full road test videos and ratings for almost any car are available at consumerreports.org. I'm Tom Muchler.
Chevy's Cruze proved that GM could build a decent small car, one that erased years of bad memories of lousy Cobalts and Cavaliers. This 2016 redesign aims to make the Cruze more competitive in a compact car segment that is trying to feel all grown up. Just to make things confusing, the old Cruze remains on sale for a while, dubbed Cruze Limited. The second generation Cruze has lost its body fat. It weighs 225 pounds less than the equivalent last generation Cruze we tested. Styling is less pudgy than before too, with a more streamlined look that's very similar to the concurrent Honda Civic and Hyundai Elantra. There are sacrifices for that styling though. The rear window base is really high. At least a rear camera is standard. Blind spot monitoring is optional. Don't think that the Cruze shrunk to lose weight. It's actually 3 inches longer. Much of that length went into the back seat, which now fits adults with reasonable comfort. That's a big improvement over the cramped seats in previous Cruzes, and it puts it on par with the roomiest cars in the segment. Another stretch goal for the Cruze is improved fuel economy. The last generation Cruze could only manage 26 miles per gallon overall with its gasoline engine in our tests. The new car's reduced weight should help, as well as a new 1.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 153 horsepower. Most will have a 6-speed automatic, but you can still get a manual. Cars with the automatic get a standard start-stop system that shuts off the engine when stopped at traffic lights to save fuel. Power is certainly adequate and the engine is reasonably refined. Even though Volkswagen's diesel emission scandals put a cloud over the sale of diesels here in the States, Chevy plans to sell a diesel Cruze here once again. That's something of a surprise because the last generation diesel Cruze really didn't sell that well. Just as diesels appeal to European-loving car buyers here, so do hatchbacks. And Chevy plans to sell a hatchback version of the Cruze here too. There are certainly other car companies that sell globally inspired and globally sold compact cars here in America, like the Ford Focus and the Volkswagen Golf. Those cars are more fun to drive than the Cruze. They have sharper steering and more nimble reflexes. Not that the Cruze is bad to drive. It rides well, calming down bumpy roads, and road noise is pretty well kept in check. This mid-level LT includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a convenience package that brings a power driver's seat and heated seats. Its sticker price comes to $23,145. That's about $1,000 to $2,000 more than a Hyundai Elantra or Honda Civic after adjusting for equipment differences. Then again, we got a pretty good deal on this car and it was the first one to arrive at the dealership. That suggests that you can probably haggle down the price. Maybe the premium price hints at Chevy's ambitions for this car. Like the redesigned Malibu that debuted at the same time, the Cruze's newfound style aims to make the car feel more desirable while also addressing the car's previous weaknesses. For more on compact sedans, check out consumerreports.org.
After a 2-model-year break, Honda's unique Ridgeline pickup returns as a 2017 model. Built on the same platform that debuted under the 2014 Acura MDX and the 2016 Honda Pilot, this Ridgeline takes on a more traditional truck profile. Instead of tapering up like it did before, the bed is a lot lower near the cab, making it easier to load from the side. The bed is also an important 4 inches longer and a half-inch wider, making it considerably more useful. The Ridgeline also retains 2 innovative features of the previous model: a dual-action tailgate that can swing sideways like a door or fold down in traditional fashion. It also gets a lockable trunk space below the bed floor. The Ridgeline bypasses the usual truck-like body-on-frame construction and hulking V8 engines, sticking with the unibody setup. That helps the Honda ride and handle with more refinement than the competition. It also sticks with V6 power, with a 3.5-liter V6 that puts out 280 horsepower, a 30 horsepower jump from the last version, and runs through a 6-speed automatic transmission. For the first time, the Ridgeline will be available with front-wheel drive, along with the usual all-wheel drive. EPA fuel economy figures show 18 miles per gallon city and 25 miles per gallon highway for the all-wheel drive models. This improvement was important, as the previous Ridgeline was really thirsty for its size and horsepower. But don't think the Ridgeline has gone all soft on you. It can still handle many traditional truck duties. Depending on the trim line, maximum payload capacity is 1,584 pounds. Towing capability tops out at 5,000 pounds. Honda says that's enough for compact truck buyers, but it's about 1,500 pounds below what the Chevrolet Colorado and Toyota Tacoma can pull. The base two-wheel drive Ridgeline starts at $29,475. While most trucks offer a variety of body styles, you can only get a Ridgeline in a four-door crew cab. All models come with a keyless push-button start and a rear-view camera. Advanced safety equipment like blind spot monitoring and forward collision warning with automatic braking are optional, but only on the top two trim levels. This super swanky, top-of-the-line Black Edition model starts at $42,870 and comes standard with LED headlights, power sliding rear window, fancy leather seats, and an 8-inch touchscreen with navigation and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. About that 8-inch screen, it's a poorly designed touchscreen that's frustrating to use. There are no conventional knobs or buttons at all on the radio, just a sleek-looking plane of glass, and the screen layout isn't intuitive. Lower trim lines have a 5-inch screen that's easier to use, with more traditional knobs and buttons. The rest of the interior comes with lots of handy bins and trays to hold stuff, including storage under the rear seat. All in all, it's a lot nicer in here than inside a Tacoma or a Colorado. We'll be interested to see if this new Ridgeline appeals to traditional truck buyers a lot more than the first one did. Just maybe it has moved ever cautiously toward the mainstream enough to broaden its look and utility to attract a larger audience. For more on pickup trucks, check out consumerreports.org.
Owning a subcompact car is usually a lesson in sacrifice. Most econoboxes are crude, underpowered, and noisy, little more than stepping stones to something better. But the Scion IA is a whole different experience. The IA, renamed the Toyota Yaris IA starting with the 2017 model year, doesn't make you feel like you're driving a penalty box. How does it accomplish this stunning feat? Well, the IA is basically a Mazda 2 sedan, and Mazda has a special knack for making cheap seem cheerful. Now, we know what you're thinking. Why don't I just buy a Mazda 2, right? You can't, as Mazda isn't selling the 2 in the US anymore. For less than $18,000 nicely equipped, the IA can serve as a respectably good first car or an ideal commuting machine. It's small and maneuverable, making it easy to manage in the city and park in tight spots. It also gets great fuel mileage, at 35 mpg overall in our testing. Only 2 cars within the segment do better, the Smart 4.2 and the Mitsubishi Mirage, and both are seriously compromised cars. The IA's 1.5-liter 4-cylinder engine is smooth and relatively quiet, but with only 106 horsepower, it's no speed demon. Equipped with a 6-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 takes 10.3 seconds, comparable to other subcompacts. A 6-speed manual is standard, and if you like shifting for yourself, we highly recommend it. It snicks easily from gear to gear, and it helps you wring the most out of the IA's meager power. Point the IA toward any kind of turn, and you instantly feel that Mazda DNA. It's light on its feet, with a surprisingly sporty and eager character for an economy car. The steering is well tuned with prompt turn-in, and the car stays composed even when you pick up the pace. But unlike just about every other subcompact, the IA doesn't make you suffer through a rough ride. The suspension does a decent job soaking up harsh bumps and masking rougher sections of road. Which is not to say it's a Lexus. The cabin can get a bit loud inside, especially the wind noise at highway speeds. One letdown was the IA's brakes. Stopping distances are rather long, especially on wet pavement. Climb inside the IA and you realize there's no getting around its diminutive size. The entryways are pretty tight, thanks to small doors. Once situated, there's plenty of front seat headroom, but the seats are narrow and don't offer much in the way of lower back support, and there isn't much room for taller drivers to stretch out. We also complained that the tilt and telescoping steering wheel doesn't pull out far enough. Adults can fit into the rear seat, but little knee and legroom make it kind of mean to force grown-ups to sit back there for a long trip. The trunk is decently sized, but bare bones in terms of fit and finish. The cabin itself is nicer than we're used to at this price. There's some soft touch material here and there, some nice stitching, in the midst of plenty of hard plastic. The infotainment system is another area where the IA benefits from its Mazda roots. A center control knob handles most functions. There's a big touchscreen, but it's locked out over 5 miles per hour. Large fonts are easy to read, but figuring out how the system operates takes some getting used to. But any of our minor gripes with the IA fade away when you're motoring around. You're not constantly reminded that you bought a budget mobile. Plus, there's a lot of car here for the money. You get that relatively fancy infotainment system and a standard backup camera. There's even a standard low-speed automatic emergency braking system to help avoid crashes, something that's optional on most luxury cars. All this for $17,600 with the automatic. Opt for that excellent manual transmission instead, and you'll pay $1,100 less. And there's no question the IA is a worthy starter sedan. It lacks the versatility of hatchbacks like the Honda Fit and Nissan Versa Note, but the IA is easy on the wallet while providing a fun and civilized driving experience. For more on small cars, check out consumerreports.org.
What's my favorite car? I get asked that all the time, and the answer, it's the Mazda Miata. Now, Mazda's gone and they've redesigned the car. It has a new 4th generation. So that makes me worried. Did they screw it up? Nope, they didn't screw it up. Mazda got this car right. So how did Mazda pull this off? Well, basically they went back to the original formula, adding lightness back to the car. There's a lot more aluminum here, and there's obsessive ounce counting everywhere. The result is a new Miata that weighs about the same as the car did back around 1994 with the 1.8 liter. That's amazing given all the safety and convenience options that have been added to this car. I mean, come on, there's stuff like blind spot monitoring and navigation in a Miata. Now the new car, it's wider, it's lower, it's even a bit shorter than the original. Under the hood is Mazda's 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's a version of the same engine found in the Mazda 3 and CX-3. Now this engine, it gets a lot better fuel economy than the one it replaced, but it does have less horsepower. It's down to 155. Now that certainly doesn't sound like a whole bunch of power, but remember, this car is really light. Mazda's also retuned the engine to make it more responsive. It's very tractable, and it's helped by perfectly chosen gear ratios. Shifting the 6-speed manual is a joy. This, once again, is one of the best shifters in the business. The throws are really direct, really precise, really low effort. What I have always loved about the Miata is you can have a ton of fun with it at sane speeds, on public roads. You don't have to worry about driving like a nut at speeds that are going to send you into the trees, or that are going to send you to jail. Steering is spot on, pretty much as direct as it gets. Part of the Miata equation has always been a decent ride, and that happily continues. This is a mid-level club model. It gets the enthusiast desirable sport suspension with Bilstein shocks. Body roll also seems to be part of the Miata equation, but there's much less of it than in the last generation. Inside, Mazda carved out more room for big folk. They also improved visibility with a better view through the windshield and side windows. Blind spots are no problem when the top is down, which is an easy one-handed deal. Too bad that sometimes you need to put the top up. Then that blind spot monitoring, standard on club and grand touring models, comes in handy. Okay, I do have some gripes. A real glove box sure would be nice. The Mazda Connect infotainment system takes more steps than we'd like for some simple functions. You can accidentally hit the controller with your wrist when shifting. And using a controller knob puts my elbow back into the removable cup holders. More important and more annoying, despite Mazda adding increased noise insulation into the roof, this is a noisy car on the highway. But look, that's where the gripes end. I've driven thousands of miles in Miatas, and I've owned a 95M edition myself. I'm pretty confident in saying that this is the best Miata yet. And what really makes me happy is I don't need to come up with a different answer for those cocktail party questions. For more on the Miata, check out consumerreports.org.
Consumer Reports came to sunny and windy Southern California for the media introduction of the redesigned 2016 Toyota Prius. Here are our initial impressions of a prototype vehicle provided by Toyota.
For most folks, the key reason for buying a Toyota Prius is fuel economy, and the 2016 version sees an incremental but notable improvement. The new Prius gets a claimed 52 combined miles per gallon in most grades, But Toyota also offers an Eco model that gets a claimed 56 mpg thanks to omitting a spare tire and other weight-saving gimmickry. The current Prius gets 44 mpg in the Consumer Reports test cycle. The guts of the hybrid system are basically the same technology as before, though in the evolutionary Toyota way, every part is smaller, lighter, and more efficient. The one big change is with the battery pack, with a higher efficiency lithium-ion battery. However, Toyota will still sell a carryover nickel metal hydride battery as its least expensive model. 0 to 60 acceleration times are about the same as that of the old Prius, although Toyota claims it changed the powertrain mapping for better mid-range punch. On the outside, the Prius keeps the same basic silhouette, although the sheet metal is a bit more etched. The headlights and taillights have a more futuristic gleam in their eyes. Inside, the Prius ditches its hard plastic surroundings for nicely grained pleather surfaces and swoopy scalloped consoles. It's a definite improvement, and a clear move to impress mainstream shoppers who want the Prius to be something more than the family science project. However, older drivers will notice the 1-inch lower seat height, which makes getting into the car more like a controlled fall than an easy sit. As for infotainment, 2 4-inch display screens show an array of vehicle information. And while most Prius shoppers don't look at the car for its dynamic response, the 2016 edition sees a definite improvement over the old model. By shifting from a solid axle rear suspension to a double wishbone independent design, the Prius is a more athletic vehicle. Based on our initial drive, it boasts sharper cornering, less body roll, a more substantial ride, and better steering wheel feedback. It's no sports car, but repeat customers shopping the new model will definitely notice the difference, and the grabby brakes are gone, replaced by ones with more precise feel. Pricing starts at $24,700, but quickly jumps to $30,000 if you want the full safety suite with parking assist, pre-collision warning with automatic braking, lane departure warning, automatic high-beam headlamps, and dynamic cruise control. There won't be a plug-in model at launch, but expect one down the road. All-wheel drive is also being considered.
With these driving impressions in hand, we're eager for the Prius to go on sale in January so that we can buy one and test it at our Connecticut facility. For more information on the Prius and other hybrid vehicles, check out consumerreports.org.
Owning a subcompact car is usually a lesson in sacrifice. Most econoboxes are crude, underpowered, and noisy, little more than stepping stones to something better. But the Scion IA is a whole different experience. The IA, renamed the Toyota Yaris IA starting with the 2017 model year, doesn't make you feel like you're driving a penalty box. How does it accomplish this stunning feat? Well, the IA is basically a Mazda 2 sedan, and Mazda has a special knack for making cheap seem cheerful. Now, we know what you're thinking. Why don't I just buy a Mazda 2, right? You can't, as Mazda isn't selling the 2 in the US anymore. For less than $18,000 nicely equipped, the IA can serve as a respectably good first car or an ideal commuting machine. It's small and maneuverable, making it easy to manage in the city and park in tight spots. It also gets great fuel mileage, at 35 mpg overall in our testing. Only 2 cars within the segment do better, the Smart 4.2 and the Mitsubishi Mirage, and both are seriously compromised cars. The IA's 1.5-liter 4-cylinder engine is smooth and relatively quiet, but with only 106 horsepower, it's no speed demon. Equipped with a 6-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 takes 10.3 seconds, comparable to other subcompacts. A 6-speed manual is standard, and if you like shifting for yourself, we highly recommend it. It snicks easily from gear to gear, and it helps you wring the most out of the IA's meager power. Point the IA toward any kind of turn, and you instantly feel that Mazda DNA. It's light on its feet, with a surprisingly sporty and eager character for an economy car. The steering is well tuned with prompt turn-in, and the car stays composed even when you pick up the pace. But unlike just about every other subcompact, the IA doesn't make you suffer through a rough ride. The suspension does a decent job soaking up harsh bumps and masking rougher sections of road. Which is not to say it's a Lexus. The cabin can get a bit loud inside, especially the wind noise at highway speeds. One letdown was the IA's brakes. Stopping distances are rather long, especially on wet pavement. Climb inside the IA and you realize there's no getting around its diminutive size. The entryways are pretty tight, thanks to small doors. Once situated, there's plenty of front seat headroom, but the seats are narrow and don't offer much in the way of lower back support, and there isn't much room for taller drivers to stretch out. We also complained that the tilt and telescoping steering wheel doesn't pull out far enough. Adults can fit into the rear seat, but little knee and legroom make it kind of mean to force grown-ups to sit back there for a long trip. The trunk is decently sized, but bare bones in terms of fit and finish. The cabin itself is nicer than we're used to at this price. There's some soft touch material here and there, some nice stitching, in the midst of plenty of hard plastic. The infotainment system is another area where the IA benefits from its Mazda roots. A center control knob handles most functions. There's a big touchscreen, but it's locked out over 5 miles per hour. Large fonts are easy to read, but figuring out how the system operates takes some getting used to. But any of our minor gripes with the IA fade away when you're motoring around. You're not constantly reminded that you bought a budget mobile. Plus, there's a lot of car here for the money. You get that relatively fancy infotainment system and a standard backup camera. There's even a standard low-speed automatic emergency braking system to help avoid crashes, something that's optional on most luxury cars. All this for $17,600 with the automatic. Opt for that excellent manual transmission instead, and you'll pay $1,100 less. And there's no question the IA is a worthy starter sedan. It lacks the versatility of hatchbacks like the Honda Fit and Nissan Versa Note, but the IA is easy on the wallet while providing a fun and civilized driving experience. For more on small cars, check out consumerreports.org.
Think of the Subaru Forester as the multigrain bread of small SUVs. Wholesome and earnest, it provides far more than your recommended daily allowance of practicality. Sure, small SUVs are practical by nature, but the Forester takes it to a whole other level. This isn't a car that you brag about to your neighbors. Its squared-off styling lacks the curb appeal of more curvy competitors. But there's value in this box. Driver visibility is fantastic. Thin roof pillars and giant windows, they make driving the Forester feel like you're in an aquarium. A standard backup camera helps too. Once inside, there is plenty of space, with a huge back seat that reclines and a spacious and tall cargo area. The cloth front seats get the job done, but are nothing special. On the plus side, most Foresters come with a power front seat and lumbar adjustment. And now the Forester finally has a contemporary infotainment system. Most Foresters will have a 2.5-liter, 170 horsepower 4-cylinder. The automatic transmission here is a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. Want more power? Then go for the Forester XT with its 2-liter, 250 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's pretty rare nowadays to find a small SUV with a stick shift, but the Forester offers one, although only with the base engine and only on more basic trim levels. It also offers EyeSight, a suite of advanced electronic safety gear that includes forward collision warning, automatic braking that can prevent low-speed crashes, and lane departure warning. And despite all of this safety gear, you can't get blind spot monitoring, something that many competitors now offer. Beyond that, the Forester gives you a lot for your money, at least until you start adding a lot of options. A mid-level premium trim includes a big panoramic moonroof and a power driver's seat for $26,645. Heated seats and EyeSight add $1,295 on top of that. Add in navigation and this Forester Premium stickers for $28,540. For more, check out consumerreports.org. This Toyota Highlander is the third generation of the 3-row family hauler. Exterior styling's gotten a little more chiseled, a little less doughy. As time goes on, that's really all any of us can hope for. Under the hood of most Highlanders is Toyota's familiar 3.5-liter V6 mated to a 6-speed automatic. We'll see how fuel economy pans out, given that the Highlander lacks technological fuel-saving tricks like an 8-speed automatic or a continuously variable transmission. Things were spiffed up inside with stitching details and some odd chocolate-colored inserts. A huge shelf runs across the dashboard, great for storing loose stuff, probably even better for gathering clutter. While Highlanders can seat 8, second-row captain's chairs are a popular option. You lose the center seat, but you gain minivan-like space, especially with the seats pushed all the way back. You'll slide those second-row seats forward to help out legroom for those banished in the third row. At least it's quite a bit wider there than before. All in all, the Highlander remains easygoing and pleasant. and unexciting. In other words, it's a Toyota. It's also a pretty good value too. The all-wheel drive XLE we bought includes almost everything you'd want. Leather, heated seats, sunroof, even navigation. At just under $39,000, the sticker seems pretty reasonable nowadays. The one thing we wish our Highlander had is blind spot monitoring. To get that, you need to buy a Limited, which costs about $3,000 more. For more on SUVs, check out consumerreports.org.